Happy holidays, everybody! But I have a problem. My Christmas tree is crooked, and it bothers me, and I can't fix it. Oh, okay, video topic. Like a lot of people, I'm sitting down with my family, and we're really struggling to find a Christmas movie to watch, and basically all of the Christmas movies on streaming services look like complete garbage, slop, generic crap. Like, if I wanted to watch two average-looking white people fall in love, I would just go visit, I don't know, a TJ Maxx, pull up a chair, get some popcorn, and watch in real life cinematic movie magic. But today we're here to talk about a special that is more than just special, it is spectacular. And I say that with a little bit of irony because on an objective level it is comically bad, but also on an objective level, I enjoyed it. What if I told you there was an entire hour-long Christmas special based on a novelty Christmas song? Mariah Carey isn't doing it like this, Wham isn't doing it like this, Frank Sinatra is dead, so he isn't doing it like this. Apologies, Frank, rest in peace. But today we're here to talk about Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, which is one of those kitschy, classic songs in the Christmas pantheon that somehow got turned into an entire movie. We'll be talking about the song a little bit just for some context, but we are mostly here to talk about the cartoon movie, which, as described by one critic, Jerry Beck, quote, may disappoint a few adults. But you know what? Fuck that. It's Christmas. I love movies. We are gonna have a good time. And I think that this special in particular was a very large part of my childhood, and I'm sure the childhood of many others, because it was literally on every single year. It might still be on, for all I know. I don't really spend a lot of time at this point in my life watching the Cartoon Network. But simply put, I want to talk about this special because it's so fun, it's so iconic, and it's so crazy. It features gay icon and straight icon Cousin Mel. It features lawyers dancing with fruit baskets on their heads, talking about how they're going to be suing Santa Claus. And it features some of the craziest songs that are in any holiday movie ever. So, what's not to love? We're in for a treat, folks. My name is Patrick, but my friends call me Pat. If you enjoy my videos and my content, please like and comment on this video. It gets it out to more people, and I super duper appreciate it. I'm also on social media. Usernames there, links in the description if that's your thing. Holiday Heart, back by popular demand. On a technical level, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer is an animated Christmas special that was originally released before I was born, but continued to air every single year until I decided I was too cool for Santa Claus. Obviously, it's based on the song of the same name, which actually has a surprisingly contentious origin story. The song itself was created by a musical duo named Elmo and Patsy, which are two different people who were married, although eventually Elmo would divorce Patsy and try to disavow her and claim she had no involvement whatsoever on this song, which would ultimately be his greatest career accolade. Elmo himself would often dress up in drag as the titular grandma in an attempt to sell records, which, evidently worked out. This was like a gold record, which, is crazy for a song that is as out there as it is. And if you look at the actual lyrics in the song, it's pretty dark. In the song as written, Grandma dies, which, spoiler alert, was something that was changed for the Cartoon Kids special that we're going to be looking at. But let's be honest with ourselves, an elderly woman being hit with the full force of Christmas magic and 9 very large reindeer would probably turn her into some form of red mist, but realism isn't exactly going to be a large theme going into this special. That's perhaps to be expected given we're about to enter a world where Santa Claus is in fact real. Side note, wouldn't it be kind of funny if we found out that Santa was real but God wasn't? Discuss amongst yourselves in the comments. And I do want to briefly point out that the genius lyrics section for Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer is probably the funniest lyric analysis they have on their entire website. Despite these 4 lines looking relatively straightforward, one of the contributors was kind enough to leave us a full 2-paragraph analysis and response, and I'll read an excerpt from this because it's so funny. This stanza creates suspicion towards Grandpa. Why is he completely fine with his wife being the victim of a brutal reindeer hit and run that rendered her dead? Did he want Grandma gone so he could finally be released from the old ball and chain of marriage? There's a lot more there that I just don't have time to read, but I do want to just give some kudos to the geniuses over at Genius for trying to make sense of a nonsensical song where a pedestrian is being killed by a 1-horse open sleigh rather than a Ford F-150. But naturally, the cinematic subject of today's video is going to be a lot less depressing because Grandma will not be succumbing to her reindeer-caused wounds. We begin the movie with the iconic song playing as Grandma gets absolutely destroyed, demolished by Santa in his sleigh, Even though, let's be honest with ourselves again, all of her bones should have been reduced to jelly, and she should have been carted off and buried in a shallow South Pole grave, but I digress. And I should note here that there is going to be a lot of music, and YouTube is very bad about copyright with music, so if I run into any issues with the music, I will be dubbing the songs myself in a way that is respectful to the copyright holders, but is perhaps not respectful to music as an artistic form of expression. After the exciting beginning of our story in media res, perhaps the only time a real film studies term has been used in combination with analyzing the Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer animated Christmas special, we are taken back to a little earlier in the domestic tranquility of the Spankenheimer Christmas store. Yes, you heard me right. Their last name is Spankenheimer, and if you're laughing at that, you are the one with the dirty mind, not me. Not me this time, guys. The movie has a narrator who is voiced by Elmo Shropshire, who is the Elmo responsible for making the original song.
But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's go back to the beginning.
This does provide a bit of an interesting contrast because he is supposedly the narrator for the main character named Jake, who looks like he's about 10, and Elmo sounds like he's about 75. A little bit of a contrast there.
Why do you look 50 and you're 24? What? What did you say?
But the titular grandma is the matriarch of the Spankenheimer family and runs a Christmas store in the middle of the bustling metropolis of Cityville. Very original name. The store is very house and up-coded, except this movie obviously lacks a heartbreaking and beautiful, brief, animated beginning that immediately endears you to an otherwise unlikable main character. Gosh, isn't Up such a great movie? We see that the store is the sole source of income for the Spankenheimer family, and we also meet iconic Cousin Mel, who is very frustrated that Grandma is letting a customer buy a fruitcake on credit. And if you are at the point in your life where you are buying a fruitcake on credit, I think you should resort your financial priorities. The character I was most drawn to in this rewatch was obviously Cousin Mel, for a couple different reasons. Firstly, she is a badass bitch. Roll the fan cam!
Give it to me like...
And secondly, she is pretty impactful to the plot. She essentially is the main antagonist of the film because she wants Grandma to sell the store, and Jake, the main character, really doesn't want that. She represents some of the worst elements of capitalism, and don't worry, we are going to be talking about how this movie views capitalism in just a few minutes, but chiefly, she's also a badass. Roll the second fan cam. Metro! Okay, I'm gonna dial it back. I know that when I originally referenced her in a different video, everyone was like, she's my gay awakening, or she's my straight awakening, which, that's just her range, that's her vision, and fuck it, roll the third fan cam. In perhaps the truest representation of early 2000s life, this Christmas store, being their sole form of income, provides the family with a very luxurious single-family home. We get a taste of what Jake's life is like, and this film really, shout out to the younger brothers with domineering older sisters who you didn't really get along with, because this film, it's really made for you, because his sister is just so mean to him the entire time, except at the very end when she completely comes around because he's saved the day.
You did it! You're a pretty cool little bro.
It's amazing how much your loved ones will come around and actually love you if you prove the existence of Santa, get him arrested, but then free him and help him beat his case. Trust me, we'll be getting there.
I was trying to beat a case, but I ain't beat that case, bitch, I did the race.
Jake's dad brings home for the family an inflatable Christmas tree, which really begs the question, why not just a regular fake tree? There doesn't seem to be a single advantage of this inflatable tree, but whatever. It comes from the Own All Corporation, so we're not going to be getting a lot of subtlety for these next 50 minutes, are we? The Own All Corporation is owned by Captain of Industry Austin Bucks, and here I'll say this film is a little bit weirdly ahead of its time. Believe it or not, the pre-9/11 made in 2000 Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer musical special was signaling that there was a 3-alarm fire over the dangers of having a consumerist monopoly led by a megalomaniac taking over society, but we chose not to listen. But here's one of the more bizarre are elements of the special. It's very hard to tell if Austin Bucks, the owner of the Own All Corporation who wants to buy Grandma's store, is really a villain or a hero. It's depicted very oddly. He's introduced with small but noticeable royal background music, which is not something you would necessarily do if they were just going to be a simple villain. It's almost like subconsciously the movie wants you to like the character.
I'm
Austin Bucks, CEO of the Cityville Own All Corporation.
Austin Bucks owns, and this is not an exaggeration, literally every single building in Cityville besides Grandma's store. I would say that this is a critique of capitalism, and in a sense it is, but the closest real-life equivalent to this is the fact that the Church of Scientology owns almost every single building in the city of Clearwater, Florida. And my reasons for disliking this intrinsically are less that, oh, we've let a quasi-cult religion take over an entire town in America. No, it's more so they pick such a lame place to do it. Like, you guys have all the money. You guys have got Tom Cruise and Elizabeth Moss, and you're telling me you couldn't have located a place with like a, I don't know, a historic downtown or like a waterfall in the town? Like, wouldn't that be so much cooler? Anyways, I digress. Austin Bucks goes into Grandma's store and uses a troll costume in an attempt to kind of blend in because she's reading books to the kids and convince her to sell him her store so he can build his headquarters for a robot drone delivery service. Again, oddly ahead of its time. And how it's portrayed by the movie, Bucks buying the Christmas store, obviously, is the negative outcome and will benefit Cousin Mel. But yet, Austin Bucks constantly yields to Jake and gives him many opportunities to stop the sale or to prove that it shouldn't go through. Like, he basically says, like, well, we've got a week until the sale closes. If you can find Grandma, you can get your store back. Which, like, aren't you, like, supposed to be evil? You're the one buying the store. Like, if he just said, you know, I'm good owning 99% of the city's property, there would be no plot. There would be no one to sell it to. So he's, like, it's weird. It's a little bit like if you were in a street fight and someone pulls out a knife and they get you really bad and they're about to finish you off, but then they give you a Rubik's Cube and they say, hey, you know, if you solve this Rubik's Cube in the next 2 hours, I won't stab you again. And it's like, thanks, but if you hadn't stabbed me in the first place, none of this would really be happening, would it?
Ryan, stab somebody!
It just leads to a big ideological inconsistency throughout the film where if Bucks was not trying to buy the store, then the plot wouldn't be happening and Cousin Mel would be thwarted, but yet he is, and I'm already thinking about this too hard, aren't I? But at the moment, none of this matters because Grandma turns down Austin Bucks' offer to buy the store, and Cousin Mel is furious because she sees the sale of the store as her way, her ticket to becoming fabulously wealthy.
I'll pay a lot of money.
Ka-ching.
And I'm sorry to say this because you may have missed the boat on this, but Cousin Mel, your actual route to upward social mobility was somehow finding a way to get added to the cast of Vanderpump Rules. That would have done it for you, and you would have fit right in. It's also worth noting that Austin Bucks is really not a fan of humanity or of Christmas in general. Just take a look at how he describes the residents of Cityville.
Because people are too busy to think about Christmas. With their cellular phones and fax machines, email, they're never really away from work.
Dear viewer, if you find yourself having to send a fax on Christmas Day, please stop it, stop doing it, and find Jesus and or the true meaning of Christmas, because you clearly need one or both. After Grandma denies Bucks' offer, we get the first of several strange musical numbers in the film. There are a bunch of original songs created by Elmo, the person who made the song originally and is one of the main voice actors in the movie, that are just kind of plopped into the movie. This one is the most jarring because it's so random. It's just a completely unrelated musical number called Grandma's Killer Fruitcake, which talks about how everybody hates fruitcake.
My yearly Christmas nightmare has just come back again.
I didn't realize that was the thing we were angry about. But you know what? Yeah! I hate fruitcake! I hate fruitcake! Yeah! Fruitcake almost feels like, you know, it could be an anti-gay slur. You know, fruity, fruitcake. There could be something there. I'm uncomfortable. and this is something that has annoyed me ever since I was a child. I am finally gonna get it off my chest. This song features one of the weirdest maps of the United States ever. And let's just ignore the minor differences, how New York looks a little derpy or whatever. Let's talk about the bizarre annexations that this movie is stating have supposedly happened. Minnesota and Wisconsin, congratulations, you're one state now. I don't know what that's gonna mean for our country, but I do know it's going to lead to some greater animosity in the NFC North. But let's face it, I was probably actually a little bit grateful to be annexed by Missouri, home of the probably eventually three-peat champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, because Patrick Mahomes is never going to run out of devil magic, and I'm never going to really be happy, because I like the Bills, and okay. And then there's Louisiana finally just annexing their hat being the state of Arkansas, which frankly should happen just for aesthetic reasons. And if you found me complaining about that boring, well, I have been thinking about this for 15 years. I make no apologies. Let's stop talking about geography and start talking about poisonography. Is that a real thing? Discuss in the comments. Cousin Mel is adding poison to Grandma's fruitcakes that she is going to be selling at the store because, in her mind, the fruitcakes will get people sick, which will depress business and force a sale. But to be honest with you, and I know the bar is pretty high given that she is literally poisoning baked goods that Grandma is trying to sell, she might not even be Grandma's biggest hater. Just look at the family's reaction when she asks for help on a basic task.
Who's gonna help me with the decorating? Can't. Have to call my boyfriend. Sorry, Grandma. Gotta dash to the gym.
Would love to, but Frank...
The game's just starting on TV.
Wow! Honestly, you guys are all assholes. You do not deserve Grandma. You deserve the trauma of seeing her after she has been pancaked by Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Y'all are so ungrateful. But of course, our hero Jake, our main character, is super close with his grandma and helps her out, and then eventually she tucks him in for the night on Christmas Eve. Very wholesome. And here we get to another fun part of the movie where the song Grandma Got Run Over by Reindeer is playing, and the narrator in that song is describing things that are actually happening, and the dialogue just matches perfectly. Take a look.
She'd been drinking too much eggnog.
You've been drinking too much eggnog.
And we begged her not to go.
Please, don't go!
We're begging!
One thing I will note is that in the song, canonically, Grandma is drunk, but, perhaps it's best that the Christmas special does not victim blame Grandma for her raging alcoholism. Maybe that wouldn't send the best message to the kids. But naturally, she is destroyed by Santa and his reindeer, and Jake sees it from his window and starts freaking out, goes downstairs, and everybody just basically ignores him. But then when they go check in the morning, it is pretty clear what happened. There is a grandma-sized imprint alongside tracks that were made by a sleigh. What I do love is that even though everyone was shitting on Jake, immediately after they get to the scene of the crime, the very Fargo-coded police officers immediately get on board with the whole Santa hitting Grandma theory.
Good point. We can work the Santa angle later.
Better get looking for the old Brad.
But to state and summarize the obvious, Grandma is missing and everybody is sad. And this begins an exhaustive search by Jake and his family to try to find her. Jake is doing most of the work, which is just sad. But yet, supposedly, Santa Claus, who knows when you're sleeping and knows when you're awake, knows everything, he doesn't know that they're trying to find Grandma. He is completely unaware of this search, because we're later going to learn that Grandma is at the North Pole and has been kept there for several months, and she has amnesia, can't tell Santa who she is. But, he's aware of Cityville as a place, and he's supposedly aware of every single child. He doesn't realize that Jake is putting her face on milk cartons. You're telling me someone's never done anything naughty with a milk carton, with milk being involved? Do not answer that. Do not answer that in the comments. I do not want to read it, and I have to read every comment. But Santa should know that there's a missing person in this city, and know that it's the one person who he hit with his sleigh and now has amnesia. Okay. We'll circle back to this, but first we have to talk about how the Spankenheimer family is truly despondent. Jake's sister has become a goth. In response, trauma truly works in mysterious ways. And Jake's parents have led the Christmas store that they own to ruin. I find this to be immeasurably pathetic. I think if you're working at a business for several years and you don't theoretically know how to run it, I mean, what are you, stupid? Come on.
Mom and Dad tried their best, but without Grandma, customers stopped coming in.
Well, Grandma isn't here, so people stopped coming. How about you step the fuck up? Do you want to be like the people on Kitchen Nightmares who are just listless and incompetent because they have 6 figures in debt and they're about to lose the house and they can't do anything to right the ship? And frankly, owning a restaurant is probably a lot harder than running a freaking Christmas store. Put on a costume, learn how to bake a fruitcake, and save your family. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ would have stepped up to save the family Christmas store, I can guarantee you that. Anyways, Cousin Mel senses weakness and blood in the water.
Yes, you've got guts, but now there's spilled your blood's in the water.
Seizing her opportunity, Cousin Mel knows that in order to sell the property to Austin Bucks, she's going to need to convince Grandpa to sign the deed over to her, which he eventually does, but he only does that because she lies to him about the documents that he's actually signing and what the documents are actually going to do.
We'll spruce up the store, order new merchandise, hire a baker. It's right here in these papers. All you have to do is sign.
Since she is literally gaslighting this old man into signing these documents that are not the documents he's actually signing, this is pretty much a textbook case of, like, fraud. Like, this is not gonna hold up in court. But, of course, before he signs, Grandpa has to take a musical break talking about how Grandma's spending Christmas with Elvis in presumably heaven.
Grandma's spending Christmas with the superstars since that reindeer ran her down that fateful night.
And here I'll note that almost all the original songs in the movie come from Elmo's 1992 album, Dr. Elmo's Twisted Christmas, which is an album exclusively dedicated to the aftermath of the events of Grandma got run over by a reindeer, so give this man some props for sticking to the bit, right? Included in this rather unique album is this song with lyrics that didn't really age that well.
We might just lease the North Pole to the Japanese. Their factories are efficient. They can make your toys high-tech.
Yep, I could probably do a whole 10 minutes on that song, and I'm not even going to approach the song, Send Me a Wife for Christmas. We have to move on. Fortunately, the song about Japanese factories didn't quite fit into the vision of this film, and we get back to Santa Claus, who is complaining that he didn't receive a single letter from the people in Cityville. But again, like, this scene shows that he has broad awareness of what Cityville is, and he doesn't know that there's, like, a big missing persons case, and, like, okay. Fortunately for Santa, there is one person in Cityville who still has Christmas spirit, and canonically, he can talk to dogs.
You're right, doofus. We can't give up.
Jake's dog convinces him to send an email to santaisreal.com talking about his missing grandma. And this honestly begs the question, like, he is obsessed with Santa. He didn't send him an email immediately after this happened? Okay, sure. You know, is it that crazy? I've determined that there's a plot hole in the Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer animated musical special? No, it's not. So Jake sends the email and Santa gets it and he's like, oh, yeah, all right, this is your grandma. So he sends an elf to collect Jake and bring him to the North Pole to see his grandma. And here I want to give some unironic praise to the movie. This is in my opinion, a genuinely touching emotional moment. Another Elmo song, a little bit more modern, called It Will Feel Like Christmas, plays as Jake and the elf are in the sleigh going over the world and going over the North Pole.
There won't be any Christmas. The feeling's just not here. It will feel like Christmas when we all learn to share.
I don't know, maybe I'm just going soft, but I found it to be a little bit moving. It talks about a struggle to get into the Christmas spirit because of the high levels of inequality and greed that exist everywhere throughout the world. Even as the film is praising the billionaire oligarch who owns the entire city of Cityville, but, you know, still, this moment, I think it's sweet. Jake meets his grandma in a scene that does get an unironic laugh from me even now when I watch it.
Grandma!
Okay, I'll bite. Who is he?
But taking his word for it, him, Grandma, and Santa all go back to Cityville in an effort to stop the sale that Cousin Mel is forcing after having gotten Grandpa's signature. Seeing that Grandma has returned, knowing this will throw off the entire attempt to sell the store, Cousin Mel starts plotting with another diva in the film. I'll let her introduce herself for you.
A hot new bombshell enters the villa.
Who are you?
Cousin Mel's attorney. I am Slime.
You said it, not me.
And Cousin Mel's solution to this is literally to tell her lawyer to kidnap Grandma, which she basically does. She sabotages the sleigh and the reindeer escape, and then she coerces Grandma to just go into a cabin in the woods. So, I mean, she girl bossed. She ate with that. Miss Slime, I'm not going to do a fan cam for her because she doesn't stack up to Cousin Mel. But still, another icon. Not knowing that Grandma has been kidnapped, Santa and Jake explain the whole situation, and Santa basically says like, yeah, you know, I hit her with my sleigh, oops, and then I treated her in the North Pole medical facility, and you know, it's all good now because she's downstairs. She's not downstairs, but they don't know that. But, you know, in order to explain the whole, I hit that old bitch with my sleigh, you have to explain that you hit aforementioned bitch with said sleigh. You are admitting to some extent a level of criminal liability. And then when Grandma is nowhere to be found, Santa gets arrested.
I demand that you have Santa arrested for the disappearance of Grandma.
And supposedly Santa is a secret in this world, but that doesn't stop the district attorney from putting him on a televised trial a la Luigi Mangione.
So, if the beard fits, you must convict.
And here I'll point out that even though the hit from Santa gave Grandma amnesia, it did not give her dementia.
Lucky thing she still has a case of amnesia and doesn't know who you are.
Lucky is right, but we can't keep her locked up in here forever.
I would hope that any person in their right mind, amnesia or not, would at least have the awareness to realize that they are being kidnapped, or at a bare minimum, being manipulated. But Grandma just doesn't give two shits. But now we're at maybe the best part of the movie, the most iconic musical number, one that doesn't necessarily come out of nowhere, but one that does make you question why it exists in the first place. I'll just play you some of it.
Grandpa's gonna sue the pants off of Santa, 'cause Grandma would have wanted him to. Grandpa's gonna sue the pants off of Santa, he knows some boys on his side.
Grandpa's gonna sue the pants off of Santa, which is adapted from an Elmo song from that album I mentioned, but still, wow, what a thing of beauty. It makes absolutely no sense. It is tonally out of nowhere, but it goes so hard. And I think the best part of this entire sequence, besides the times where Slime chimes in on the song, which I'll play you a couple examples of right now.
Santa's going for a ride. Oh, Lord. Grandpa's gonna sue the pants off of Santa, 'cause Grandma would have wanted him to. No pants aloneness. Santa's going for a ride. Vamonos.
But besides that, the best part of the song is that it may have actually happened in the world. Like, they may have just been performing this in the cabin while Grandma watched, according to this line we hear from her later.
It felt like I was in a dream. I thought I was in Hawaii. Only it was cold.
Canonically, Slime and Mel may have put fruit baskets on their heads and danced while delineating their plans quite clearly while Grandma sat and watched. This is a spectacular piece of cinema. Anyways, Santa Claus is on trial in a country with a flag that looks like a limp piece of bacon, and he's about to be found guilty before Jake triumphantly bursts into the courtroom, having rescued Grandma from Cousin Mel's cabin and having taken the evidence of her many crimes. He finds evidence that Mel had in fact poisoned the fruitcakes, which we did kind of know already, but apparently that poison she used made the reindeer go completely berserk, and Santa left a note explaining everything that happened, which Cousin Mel had taken directly from the scene. One cool detail I will mention is that when you're rewatching the film, you see the exact moment very early on when Mel takes the note for herself, which is very fun. But then also she just left her note lying around in plain sight in the cabin. So Cousin Mel, sometimes, it happens to the best of us. Sometimes we girl boss too close to the sun. Apparently the fact that he left the note absolves him of any sort of criminal liability for the vehicular manslaughter. So remember, kids, if you hit someone with a bizarre vehicle, as long as you leave a note explaining everything that happened and go on to give the person you hit medical treatment in a bizarre facility in the North Pole, you'll get off scot-free. I could tell you the various legal problems with this entire, sequence besides the ones I've already mentioned. Like, we could really go into courtroom procedure if we wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I am gay, and despite what I just pointed to, I am not a lawyer. Either way, seeing that she got caught, Mel admits to everything, admits to having stolen the note and poisoned the fruitcake, and basically engaged in this scheme to get the store to be sold. Giving a confession that honestly reminded me a lot of the confession that Arthur gives in the end of Joker Folie à Deux, so again, very ahead of its time. Grandma got run over by a reindeer musical special.
I'm behind this evil trial.
There is no Joker. It's just me.
Oh, I didn't mention this, but apparently reindeer can talk.
I couldn't control myself.
That's concerning. Many things are concerning, like the fact that Santa Claus, the entire mystique has been ruined. Everyone knows he's real because he was literally put on a televised trial. But, I mean, honestly, let's give Jake some credit. Jake literally did save Christmas. Santa was on the verge of being convicted and found liable for probably millions, if not billions of dollars, and he probably couldn't pay it. He'd have to go to, debtor's prison. Is that how you say that word? Comment down below. So everyone, be sure to thank Jake for your Christmas this year. And also, thank gay and straight icon Cousin Mel. Because how can somebody save Christmas if somebody isn't trying to ruin it, right? And that brings us to the end of the movie. Oh wait, actually, Grandma gets hit by the reindeer one more time. And she gets right back up, but given the fact that the last time she got hit by the reindeer, she had a multi-month severe case of amnesia, I'm a little concerned. I don't know if Grandma's going to be bouncing back from this one. Is there any greater meaning to this film at all? Is it secretly an anti-capitalist subversive text? Don't make me laugh. But actually, let me cook for a second. The hyper-capitalist character of Austin Bucks wants to buy the family Christmas store and complete his capitalistic takeover of the entire city, yet he gives Jake a very clear opportunity in order to stop the sale, and is honestly pretty happy once Grandma is found and the sale is stopped, and wants to, he's happy that he has failed in his endeavor to do more capitalism. Could he be a cat trying to play with his prey? Could he be a hunter trying to give his quarry a fighting chance? Or, and this is my actual opinion, could he just be emblematic of an attitude expressed by many high school sophomores when interpreting English literature? A quintessential case of, let's try to find more deep meaning in this work of art. What does it mean that the curtains are blue? But in this case, perhaps the intended meaning of the author is just that. The curtains are just fucking blue. Austin Bucks is depicted so inconsistently and primarily just exists to serve as a way to advance the plot and kind of fill a need. Somebody has to be trying to buy the store after all if there's going to be a plotline about the store being sold. And most characters in the film kind of occupy that role. Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer does not meaningfully engage with or critique the hyper-capitalist world that it exists in. And what the fuck am I saying? This is a children's movie based on a novelty Christmas song. Jesus Christ! I think on an objective level, this film does fall short to another film based on another Christmas song, but it's by no means bad, and I would honestly say it's very enjoyable, if not good. I think it's a good time if you can accept that it's insane, it's ridiculous, and it doesn't make a whole ton of sense if you get really critical and into the weeds. The art style is unique, and while maybe not super amazing, it does give the feel that somebody put time and effort into it, which, not to be a boomer on you, but these animated movies these days just don't feel like that all the time. But maybe I'm biased because I did spend an entire summer watching Mr. Burcham. As I was making this video, I really tried to ask myself the question, why does this special loom so large in my memory and in my nostalgia, and I'm sure in the memory and in the nostalgia of a lot of you? And I think the answer, it's just fun. It's just a fun movie. The premise of a grandma getting run over by a reindeer is just funny, and the novelty song it's based on was certainly more popular in my elementary school than other similar songs that were also made into movies, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like, he's weak, he's gay, he's unathletic. That hits too close to home for me. I don't want to see myself depicted in media like that. And Frosty the Snowman, he just has bad vibes, and frankly, the fact that he even exists at all is probably the product of some deeply nefarious eldritch ritual. But that's what Christmas is about, in my opinion. Not the the Eldritch Ritual. No, not that. I mean more like having a good time, being cozy, being nostalgic. And to be honest with you, I would recommend this film 10 times out of 10 over the deluge of Christmas slop that exists everywhere on the streaming services these days. It's available for free on Vimeo, and it's a really fun watch. I'm a fan. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go drink too much eggnog and walk home from your house on Christmas Eve in hope that no comic tragedy befalls me on my walk home. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like and please comment. It gets this video out to more people, and I super duper appreciate that. I hope you have a happy holidays, and let me know down in the comments, what's your favorite Christmas movie? Have you watched this special? Are you going to? Again, very short time investment. Let me know your thoughts down below. Was it silly? Was it fun? Was I too harsh? Was I not harsh enough? Should I have gotten out some Marxist analysis to really understand Grandma got run over by a reindeer? I think that's beyond the scope of what I set out to do this holiday season. But as always, my name is Patrick, but my friends call me Pat, and I will see you for the next one.